Hello everyone. I think a lot of us might be experiencing the same thing right now in the garden where it is colder than normal and also a little bit wetter than normal. Now I don't mind cool temperatures and rainy weather separately, but them together does make me nervous because that's what often leads to root rot, which has killed most of the plants in my garden in the past. Basically, if it rains and then it's not warm enough for it to actually evaporate or dry out the soil at least a little bit in between the next rainfall, the soil in my containers just stays too moist and the roots basically suffocate from lack of oxygen. Then the plant dies, and you usually can't tell this is happening until the plant is already dying. Now, I will say, looking around right now, I don't think that is happening, but I figured I'd walk you around, show you what some of the things are looking like. We are about 20 degrees colder on average here right now than we normally are at the end of May. So we are in like the mid 50s during the day and mid to low 40s at night. I think we're getting down to 43 tonight, which is the coolest it's been. So I might actually bring some plants inside, but I really don't want to bring that many plants inside this late into the season. So let me take you around, and we're also going to direct sow some seeds into an empty bed today. Well, almost empty bed. So first I'll show you how things are doing. So in general, most things look green and healthy, which is great. We have had a little bit heavier winds than normal, but I'm not too concerned about the wind yet. Honestly, the most that it does is knocking over some of these pots that I have seedlings starting in, so I just come outside and prop them back up. But all of my zinnias in here look good. I have the Queenie Lime series in the center, and then I did pop in, I think this is the Zahara Cherry, because I just wanted to get these into some sort of potting soil. So that's what's going on in here. I will be adding more plants into this bed. I have some dahlias here. They're doing okay. These are one of probably the least cold tolerant. I think I might bring these inside overnight, maybe for the next few days until it starts to get into the 50s at night again, but they're not dying. I just think they could use a little bit more protection. This is the bed where I'm going to direct sow, and there are some exciting things happening in here. So the watermelons on the end that I planted a couple weeks ago, those still look good, and we have a dahlia. I think 2 weeks ago I found a non-rotten dahlia tube and I planted it right here. So it's not that dahlia, but some dahlia survived in my raised bed over winter in Chicago and is coming back. I have no idea which one it is because I don't quite remember planting one here, although I must have. So we are in for a nice little surprise there, but this is where I'm also going to direct sow some seeds because there's nothing else happening in here right now. My raspberries are living their best life. I actually am not concerned about any of my perennials or any of my cool season crops because this weather is normal for them, just my warm season annuals. But some exciting things. I do have some berries starting to form. Now again, this is the Heritage Red Raspberry. One of these is a propagation from the other one. So I only ever bought one raspberry, propagated it to the other one. They are at least a few years old now. My peas are looking good. They've just started to produce some pods, which I feel like I would have more by now. The weather's just been so inconsistent. I feel like my plants are as confused as I am. I'm going to take these now so I can eat them. But the peas are looking good. However, usually I would have pulled them by now and planted my row of sunflowers because these sunflower stalks are from last season. They're my Sunridge Summer Provence sunflowers. Then I use them in the fall and the following spring for a trellis. But usually by now, I have pulled the old stalks out. I save them to use as supports for other plants, and then I direct sow my sunflower seeds. But that has not happened yet. However, I do have some sunflowers which have direct sown themselves. So I don't know if I'm going to attempt to move them where I normally plant, although sunflowers don't love being transplanted. I don't know if I'm going to leave them. We'll see. I do have some sweet peas that are growing up in front here. And then I have plants growing out the side. This is oxalis. This grew out the side of my beds before. I like it. It's not like I'm using this space anyway to grow anything, so I'm gonna let whatever wants to happen here happen. Over this way then, these dahlias in front here actually don't look too bad at all. So I probably will still move these inside overnight, but these look a little bit happier than the first ones I showed you. I have more oxalis growing out of that crack. My carrots are getting larger. I do want them to flower, so I'm excited to see those hopefully flowering soon. Cosmos looks good. These are the starts that I got from Gethsemane Garden Center. Truffle of Pink Gomphrena starts from Proven Winners. And then my seedlings are cantaloupe in either corner. And then, what do I have? Status, my tiny tomatoes, and then straw flower in the back. This bed, again, is looking okay. And again, for the most part, things are looking okay. I'm just a little nervous, and they're definitely not exploding in growth the way they typically do around this time of the year. Now, I am pleasantly surprised about some of my vegetables. My peppers are, again, not very cold tolerant, and they look good. Probably because they are slightly lower to the ground, so they get a little bit of insulation from the wall and the taller bags right next to it, but I'm happy with them. So I'm going to keep these out. I could bring them if I wanted to, but we're going to see how they do. Green beans look good. Zucchini looks good. 2 cucumbers are still alive. I had 3. These 2 are left, and then my other pepper. I have so many poppies in here. These were the poppies I direct seeded over winter because I was bored. And I don't want to pull them before they bloom because that would be sad. So my tomato is still tucked in here. I keep pulling these away so that it gets a little bit more sunlight instead of being completely covered. There's a tomato in this one as well. And then this one is still just poppies. I will be planting giant zinnias in there at some point once the weather warms up and hopefully these bloom. Now my Gomphrena bed, I am having some issues with now. I don't know if it's been more the rain or the cold weather, but the truffle of pink ones, I popped these in there just to get some color in my garden. Some of these look good, like that one looks good, that one looks good. Some of them look dead. Some of them have like a bit of dead leaves, but I think the green leaves are going to make it through. Honestly, maybe it's just that one that looks completely dead. We'll see how this goes. I might shift some around, like if the one in the front dies, I might move one from the back to the front. Actually, overall, they look better than I expected. I have my 2 columnar apple trees with strawberries planted around them. I don't know how I did this. I have 2 columnar apple trees downstairs, which I had last year. 2 columnar apple trees up here that I just got this spring. One up here blooms earlier than the other. One downstairs blooms earlier than the other. So I think I'm going to move the 2 that bloom earlier to the same deck, the 2 that bloom later to the same deck, because you need them flowering at the same time for cross-pollination, and you need different varieties. All my varieties are different. So at some point, I'm hoping I can mix that around. And then this bed is my natives bed. I think milkweed is taking over. As you can see, I had it planted here originally. It maybe had like 1 to 2 stems last year, but one of the problems with growing natives in containers is that if they are aggressive natives, like milkweed, they can take over the whole container. Last year, Rudbeckia took over, and I thought I was going to have to dig that up and plant it, but I actually don't see that coming back right now. So we'll see how much of this bed is milkweed versus any other plant. I'm not too upset if it is all milkweed, because I would love to just supply milkweed to the monarchs, but I am interested to see what happens in this bed. I have my 1 mint plant over here. This is the lemon balm mint, lemon bergamot mint. This one and my strawberry mint, I think, are the only 2 that have survived. Strawberry mint is still on the back deck, but I have new mints coming from Mountain Valley Growers today, so I'll get those planted up. Some random herbs I need to plant up down here. This Fimbriata, dahlia is doing really well. I mean, this one is huge. It is in the largest pot. The other ones are still in their nursery containers. I'm letting this one live its best life. I think it looks pretty good overall right now. Pretty happy. I have my pink black-eyed Susan here. Still looks good. And then down here I have seedlings that I really need to pop into a bed. I have 2 watermelon here. They're still in the peat pellets I started them in. This cantaloupe isn't looking too happy. I think this one was sitting in water too long. I might try to put it in a bed and see if it lives or dies. And then another of my tiny tomatoes. So I might pop these in somewhere today. All right, so now I'm going to go grab the seeds I plan to direct sow. I know I'm going to do zinnias. I'm going to look and see what else I have and just get that bed filled, because other than the 4 seedlings I just showed you, that's really it. I mean, I have some that I'm starting in that first bed, but those are going to go in the big grow bags. So I'm going to direct sow and see what happens. I've heard that if you direct sow zinnias, they are more powdery mildew resistant than starting inside, but I've never tried that. And I feel like powdery mildew is just going to take over everything no matter what I do, but we'll see. So I'll grab the seeds and then we will head back over to that bed. Hi, Stevie, and your new man who's not Oreo. I forgot if I mentioned this here or just on Instagram, but last year, Stevie with the white wings and Oreo were a couple and built a nest, and I thought they were going to live happily ever after, and then all of a sudden she started hanging out with a new man. I have seen Oreo still. He's just not with her anymore, and it makes me sad. But I saw now the one on the left, who I haven't named yet, building her a nest this year. I thought pigeons mated for life, but apparently not Stevie. All right, I'm going to fill this bed up, and this is one of those moments, which I have every year, where I'm like, am I making decisions I will regret or not? But luckily in a container garden, I feel like things are pretty easy to manage. So if I plant something too close, I can move it, etc. I'm going to add the 2 watermelons that I have left right here in the front. I do feel like I'm not going to enjoy 4 vines all hanging in front of the hose because it might be difficult to either get to the hose or to the irrigation. But again, that will be a problem for future Bethany. And right now, this is present Bethany. So those 2 watermelon are going in there. You know, I'm actually curious to see if anything is sprouting from... Oh, it is! Oh my gosh, okay. There is... Oh, I'm so happy. There is a sprout coming from this tuber. This is the tuber I found in the bed with the cosmos, where I planted the cosmos right now. How did these survive? And yet, my tulips, which are supposed to be hardy enough, rot over the winter. I don't know, but I will take the wins where I can get them. Now I've decided I'm going to direct sow all zinnias in this bed. I'm going to do Zinnia thumbelina because I have not sown any of these yet. These are only going to get between 10 to 15 inches tall. So I'm going to sow them near the front of the bed. Then I have a bunch of zinnia packets from Park Seed. These are more like standard medium-sized zinnias, 3 to 4 feet tall, so they'll go in the center and the back. I have Parks Picks Coral. I have Cinderella Red. I have Parks Picks Yellow, Parks Pick Carmine Rose, and then Cinderella Lilac. I think those are, yep, those are the ones that I'm going to plant. Now I find it easiest when I'm like making my holes, or in this case just a line. I like to use my gloved hand, but when I'm actually handling the seeds, I feel like it's much easier with my bare hands so that I'm not fumbling with them while I'm trying to plant them. Now with the dwarf zinnias, I want these just in a row. So I'm going to do what I do with my radishes. Actually, what is the recommended spacing that I'm going to ignore? 6 to 12 inches. Yeah, maybe I'll give them each 6 once they start to sprout. But I'm going to do the same thing I do with my radishes, where I just kind of sprinkle them in a line and then thin them, assuming I remember to thin them, once they start to grow. And also what I can do is if some of the seedlings that I currently have just don't look great or don't really make it through the weather we're having right now, then I can dig some of these up and plant them in a bare spot. Now it is a little bit colder than I would normally plant zinnia seeds, but I'm just going to leave these here until it starts to warm up, and then hopefully next 7 to 10 days I'll start to see some seedlings poking through. I'm not going to cover these up yet because I want to know where they are in relation to the other ones that I'm going to plant. With the Park Seed zinnias, these want to be spaced 12 inches apart. Again, probably going to ignore that, but I'm just going to make holes about 1/4 to 1/2 inch down, grab a seed packet and toss some in. So these are the Cinderella Lilac, and I actually don't have very many seeds of this one left. So I'll do 1 hole here, and then let's just add a random hole right there. And I am putting in 3 seeds in each hole to hopefully get better germination rates. But that's, yeah, those are the only ones I have for lilacs. So 2 at the most. We're going to add in some Zinnia Red, which I also don't have a ton left on either. So poke here, let's put some in there. Let's do 1 right here. And maybe I will stick to just 2 of each variety for now. Next is yellow, which I do have a good amount of. And actually, last year, I feel like I missed having more yellow and red flowers. So I'm glad that I'm adding these zinnias into this mix. Again, my front deck that we're on right now, I don't really care about things looking neat or well planned out. This is like my explosion of color productive garden. So I really don't care if like colors don't match or random colors are everywhere. In fact, I enjoy that. So this one was Carmine Rose. Last we'll do Parks Pick Coral. So where do I have some open space? There, there, and here. And now I'm just going to cover these up. The soil is moist enough right now, and I think we have more rain coming. So I'm going to leave these as is, but if for some reason we don't get rain, I'll come back out tomorrow morning and check on them. Then we cover up all of the Thumbelina zinnias. And there we go. Have I missed an open hole? I don't think so. I do feel like when I have a lack of control because of Mother Nature and not having the weather that I want to get things started, at least planting something gives me a little bit of that control back. Now again, it is a bit cooler, so I don't expect these seeds to sprout as quickly as they would if it was in the 60s and 70s, but they should be here in the next few weeks. So I'll keep you updated on how this bed goes. There's a lot of planting that I have to do that I'm kind of waiting on just for the weather to warm up a little bit, but I think next I'm getting the herbs that I'm going to plant. I have to put the annuals on the garage deck. There's a lot to plant on the garage deck, which I'm really excited about. So hopefully next time I see you, I won't be wearing a warm flannel and it will be nice and sunny outside. Let me know how the weather's been by you, if you're experiencing the same thing we are here in Chicago, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.